everyone in game development makes a platform game. Companies are ripping each other off all the time, bro.
I feel like one of those like big corporations sending out like mass emails like, oh, during these unprecedented, uncertain times.
The amount of times I've heard unprecedented in this pandemic.
Yeah,
oh my god.
I'm so curious as to how like our generation, like the people in school during COVID, are gonna turn out.
I still have no idea till this date why she said that. All right, it's been a fat minute since we recorded our last episode, but we're back at it now. I'm one of your hosts, Addy.
I'm Max, you're one of your other hosts.
And Veronica's not here today, but we got replacement better Veronica. Don't tell her I said that. We got Sarah.
Yep,
Hey, Sarah.
I'm replacing Veronica, also known
You've
as
been
Sarah.
a guest on this episode before.
Yeah,
Podcast,
throwback.
Yeah. Throwback.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Welcome.
you're a guest like early on, like one of our first episodes. I think
Yeah,
episode
I
2,
was an
I'm
OG.
pretty sure.
Exactly.
Wow. so look how far we've come since then.
Exactly. It's been so long.
Amazing. Yeah, it's been a while. Yeah, so today we are kind of getting back a little bit on the career kind of chat. You know, we've taken a break from that in the past few episodes, but we're kind of getting back on that. You know, just talking about like how to like find project ideas, doing cool project with friends and stuff. But we also want to kind of keep the fun side, so we're going to be talking about like how to keep it fun outside and inside during like this whole weird vaccination period phase thingy going on. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So I guess we'll get started with finding interesting product ideas. So I want to first just ask Sarah, actually. Sarah, have you done any interesting projects that you want to share with everyone?
Okay, so by done, do you mean complete?
No. Even if you started
working on
working on or started or kind of
Okay.
abandoned, anything works.
Yeah. So like I start projects and I never finish them. This is like a problem. Okay, but I do.
I have the same problem, don't worry.
Yeah. So like I have high respect for people who can finish things that they started. Which is not me. But so any fun projects recently? I haven't really come up with a project on my own because I've been busy working this summer. But I am helping out friends with their projects that they're doing for university societies. So right now I'm making like a little calendar app widget thing for a website for a friend. And that's kind of exciting because, you know, I'm able to help out. I'm feeling more motivated to complete that because he needs it done. So let's see how that goes.
Nice.
So hopefully that will actually be finished. But yeah, that's how it's going.
Nice. That's cool. And like how so you mentioned it's kind of like the I guess a requirement you can say. How like did you I guess kind of get involved in this? Like how were you kind of like, oh yeah, I want to do this?
Sure. So you can basically, for me, if you hang out with people who do development projects, they'll include you, or you can see opportunities to be included. So for this one friend, he's basically running a development committee for a society that I'm a part of, and he needed he was basically has a lot of these volunteers working with him as well. So there's multiple people working on this project, and I came in because I'm part of that society, and I was like, hey, you know, wouldn't it be cool if we had a calendar on this? And he told me like, hey, that sounds cool, but like I don't have that time to make it myself. Like, why don't you do it yourself? So I'm like, okay, cool. So like that's what I'm working on. And it's good because like sometimes it's easier to like pick up little pieces of somebody else's project and work on it together than start something entirely on your own. So for example, if I was making this on my own, I would have to make an entire server, an entire like UI, routing, all this stuff, like a database or whatever. But because we already have an application and I just need to add another feature, it's just a lot simpler. And I could just make the thing that I really want to make, you know? So that's easier for me.
For sure. And you actually brought up a good point with that, with the whole like you don't have to come up with like fresh idea on your own, because like I think that's like a misconception that a lot of people have. They're like, oh yeah, I can't come up with project ideas because I can't think of anything cool. And it's like, that's fine. Like even if you do a small thing, that's already like a big improvement from like where you were before. Like you started the project, or you continued a project, or you helped out on a project. That's already doing a lot, right?
Exactly. And I feel like it doesn't have to be original. Like if there's something that you want to make it even if 1,000 people have made it before. Like even if all your classmates have made it before, just make it. Like, just for fun.
If you're enjoying
Everyone,
it, there's no point in not doing
exactly. And like there's always like opportunities and like aspects of the project where you can be original, right? Like for example, everyone in game development makes a platform game, either for fun or for school. Like, it's a very common thing. I've done it. I'm not
Yeah.
in game development, and I've done it. You know what I mean? So like, it's a very common thing to make, but it's fun. It's like a platform game. Who doesn't enjoy those? You know? And like,
Yeah.
there's opportunities where you can be original, where you can be creative. You know, have a concept and stuff, or like a storyline, or like even design or whatever. So that's really fun. Or like even something basic like Connect Four, or like making like a to do list application or whatever. You can be creative in other ways. It doesn't have to be the implementation,
Yeah,
right? Like,
that's true,
so
exactly.
I think
And
I think people really like have these high expectations of like being original, but you're not even like a full fledged computer scientist yet. You're still a student. You're still learning, and even when you go into industry, companies are ripping each other off all the time, bro. Like, think about stories,
yeah.
okay? Like Snapchat started
Oh
that,
my
and now you
god,
have them
yeah,
everywhere. Think about like TikTok or like Reels or whatever. Or think about like stages. Slack has huddles now or whatever. Like they copy each other. Like stories with a Snapchat thing. Now everybody and their mom does it, right? So like
Yeah.
there's no such thing as an original idea. It's more about how you implement it. So some ideas will be better than others just because they did it better. But like it doesn't have to be original. Really, honestly. I think it's overrated.
yeah, that's fair. Yeah, exactly. And also like it sometimes it's not even about like creating a super cool like full fledged project that's like stands out from everyone else. It's just literally about learning, right? Like you learned to
Exactly.
make a project from scratch, even though someone already made it, but you made one from scratch. You should be proud of that, right?
Yeah. I
Exactly.
feel like it's not even about completing the project too. Like it can be fun
Oh,
to
that's
just start
true.
a project, go through it. Like even if it doesn't succeed in the end, like you still did something,
For
made
sure. Yeah,
something.
Hmm.
yeah. Like over the summer, I was working on this like weird like extension for this like for Visual Studio Code, for example.
Oh,
And
really?
like yeah. So I think I discussed this idea with you, and I was like, when you kind of boot
Oh.
up Visual Studio Code, it kind of just like boots a different theme every time.
Oh, I think
Yeah,
so.
yeah,
I think maybe you
yeah.
did. That's so
So
cool.
I kind of started like working on that a little bit, and like I I kind of abandoned it halfway, but it was really cool to kind of even learn like how making an extension even works and how to even get started with that. And like I already know a little bit
Hmm.
more than I did in the beginning. Like in the beginning, I would have been like, where do I even start? And now I'm like, okay, I can kind of make a basic extension, and I know how all these things work, right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
And that in itself is already like I feel like it's good enough. Like just getting it started and kind of learning even like to get to that point.
Even getting an
Exactly.
understanding of like you said, like you now you know how extensions work on VS Code. Like getting that sort of understanding gives you like I feel like it makes you more confident in your like knowledge, like
Yeah,
learning
for
these
sure.
types of things, right? I feel like a lot of aspects, especially as someone who was coming into computer science without any knowledge, uh, figuring out how things worked made me feel a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. And also, like, one thing to mention is that with their um, one thing to kind of like also, I guess, keep in mind is that um, when you want to make a project, it's always good to be like not super vocal about it and it's like reveal all the details to everyone, but like maybe talk about it with your friends. Like, hey, I'm thinking of making like a I don't know, like uh, an app that helps with I don't know education or like I was saying the Visual Studio that with the Visual Studio extension that I was making. Like I discussed that with, like I was saying, I discussed it with Sarah and a bunch of other of my friends. You know, it's if they want to help out with that, that's really cool, and you can really get like more hands on deck. So that's also, I guess, another, I guess, piece of advice that I could give. That kind of just talk about your project ideas. Maybe like put them out there, like kind of like, hey, I'm working on something right now, and like, what do you think about this? Or is there any suggestions you can give me to improve this idea? Things like that.
Hmm.
Yeah, and that way
That's a
maybe
good
you can get
idea.
someone else on board. You can like hear input,
Hmm.
that type of thing.
Exactly, exactly. And that's you can get stuff started. But one thing I will mention is don't let people discourage you. Like sometimes people are like, "Oh no, that's been done before." You're making a calculator replacement, Veronica. I have one on my phone. You know, like that's yeah. Like even if you
Yeah,
are making a calculator, you know what I mean? Don't let them discourage you because like they clearly don't understand the value of like making something for fun or making something because you want to do it, right? So like don't let them discourage you. Just tell them like, "Hey, I don't really care if people have done this before. I want to do it for fun. I'm not trying to make money off this. If you are, good for you. Go do that, you know?" So like I feel like I sometimes feel like I can't talk to people about my projects because they'll be like, "Oh no, this is not original," because they don't have the same perspective that I do when it comes into like development for fun. So just be mindful of that. Like, some people might discourage you, and just shake that stuff off, right? Like listen to the good feedback and the constructive criticism, of course, but not someone trying to discourage you or make you stop doing something you enjoy.
For sure, yeah, and also, yeah, like I guess just keep in mind like who you're getting this advice from. Like, is it someone that genuinely wants you to like, kind of succeed with this project, or like kind of uh, I don't know, has like good advice to offer? Or is it just someone that's hating to hate for like,
Yeah.
I guess, lack of better terms?
I mean, I feel
Um,
like that's why you have to be careful when pitching your ideas to people. Well, careful what criticism you'll accept, because if you're not presenting these ideas to someone who's like a good friend of yours, and they're just like maybe like just like a like someone that you know, they might not be as like caring about how much you like, or they might not be as respectful about how much you care about the idea or like what you've done for it, right?
yeah, for sure. And like, so I guess it's just what we can kind of say as like a common ground would be just to be mindful of who you're sharing, but also don't just like keep it a secret. Like I feel like a lot of people have that mentality of like, oh, I should keep this project a secret, or else someone's gonna steal it and make a better version of it, right? Like we were mentioning, if this is to learn, it's always good to kind of like maybe get some more expertise. Like there's this one project. Actually, Max and I were talking about it. We wanted to make like this trivia web app, right? And like I we talked to I talked to Max about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I want to kind of be on board with this, right? And I want to like help out with the HTML side and stuff." So that already in itself is like an improvement from what I could have done on my own. Because like on my own, I would have spent like, I don't know, 3 weeks, for example. I'm like exaggerating here, I'm ballparking here, but like um, I would have spent 3 weeks. But then like with some help, like I can get some different perspectives. Maybe it might not be like done um, like as quickly as I thought, but just like I can get more diverse opinions on like what should the I don't know what should the question look like, what should the answer cards look like, how would we select an option, how would this all work, you know?
Yeah,
Um, yeah, so that's something to keep in mind. So I guess just like be mindful of who you share your ideas to, but also don't have that mentality of keeping it secret. Is what we're trying to say.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah. Um, yeah. So I guess that also kind of um, ties in with the finding people to do project with. Um, that's a good way to find that. And finding project ideas, just like we are mentioning, getting inspiration from existing projects is like there's nothing wrong with that. I feel like if anything, that's actually I would say I would encourage that because like either you can make a better version of it, like Sarah was mentioning earlier, or you can like you can maybe just make the same version but just learn how it even works in the back end, right? Um,
yeah. I mean, arguably, it's like even more satisfying to see an idea that's already implemented and then making it better, right? Because you had
exactly,
like a
yeah,
one up
because
on like the industry.
yeah, and like you see like how it's being done, and you're like, oh yeah, like like kind of using
Like look
Sarah's
at
example here.
Discord for example, right? Like Skype existed beforehand, but then Discord came in with like kind of a better interface, something that people, I guess it was for gamers originally, but now everybody uses it. Schools use it, businesses use it, right? Because they just had a better product. Probably
Yeah,
feels good on their end.
yeah, and also like the whole idea with stories, like like Sarah was mentioning, everyone did stories, but then like if let's say you implement stories on like the social media app that you're working on, it's like okay, cool, everyone does this. There's nothing special about it, but it's like, wow, I came up with this concept. I like you're probably doing it like a very different way from like how Instagram's doing it or how Snapchat is doing it. Maybe I don't know, you're using different types of like values or like you're using a different type of like architecture in the back, right? There's
Yeah,
just that in itself already is like you thinking about that is already like very good because
yeah. Also, like with like the most simple example, everyone makes a platformer game, even if they're not in game dev, right?
yeah,
People
yeah,
still play platformer games.
yeah,
Platformer games still become successful. You know, like it's not like it's a dead market. Like you can make a platformer game and still sell it.
for sure, yeah. And even if you don't want to sell it, you learned something from making it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It might not be the most fun game, but it's still something. Like
Yeah,
you still did do something. And actually, like someone in the live listeners chat, they mentioned like when you're learning math, you learn what people have already done, right? You're not inventing calculus again. That's kind of a good way to see it. You're not like doing I'm going to come up with like different formulas for calculus. You're learning how calculus is done, then you're implementing that in your own like way. Maybe you're solving a problem that involves calculus in it, but you're not inventing calculus again. You're still using tools that already exist out there. So I guess that's kind of all that we have to mention in terms of the project idea. I'm kind of going to shift this whole conversation a completely different way and talk about like this whole weird inside outside period going on with like the vaccines rolling out and everything. So I guess I'll start off with Max this time. How are you like kind of keeping active and keeping well while being inside and outside through this whole vaccine situation? Go.
Yeah, well, I have both. I have two Pfizer vaccines. I got double vaccinated. So I have been going outside pretty frequently. I haven't been like socializing or going to big groups, but I have been outside recently. Um, it kind of is getting to the stage where things are starting to feel more normal, but there's always like the looming feeling of like we're gonna go back into lockdown. Um, for a couple of months, I was like really excited for uh like recreational gyms to start opening again, like rock climbing and like I heard like Canada's Wonderland, which is like a theme park, was gonna open up uh in the summer. I was pretty excited for like those things to open up, but then at the same time, it's like, should I really go? Like, am I putting myself or others at risk? Like, it's kind of just uh like a period of what should I do, you know? Like next year there's supposed to be in-person classes, but it doesn't really look like everyone is going to be vaccinated in Canada. Uh, so it's kind of hard to see, especially with like Delta variant like coming up on the rise and it being more dangerous. It's kind of hard to see like a future where like things aren't going to be completely online. But I still have hope. You know, it's kind of it is a little bit hard. But I have hope.
For sure. Yeah, I feel that too. And like it's kind of difficult to even like gauge what type of I don't want to say danger, but I guess what kind of danger you want to put yourself in, like when by going outside or meeting friends and stuff, because it's like you don't know what each individual person's situation is, like how everything's going with them.
Yeah.
Um, but like it's also like I also feel like I kind of understand like people's perspective, like back in the beginning of lockdown, where everyone was like, you can't keep us here, because like I remember back then I was like, oh, this is just a 2 week thing. Why aren't people like taking it seriously, right? But then now I'm
Yeah.
understanding like it's like, oh, how long are you going to keep like locking down and like staying inside and whatever? Like, is it? It doesn't seem like it's going anywhere. So what's the point of it, right? So I kind of
Yeah.
understand that perspective now more and more. But it's still like that difficult kind of period where it's like there's the whole like you were mentioning the variant rising, but there's also like some people don't want to get vaccinated, but also those people are like going outside and spreading the variant, so making it worse for other people.
Yeah,
Um,
honestly, like if you're unvaccinated and you're like going outside and you're like talking to people, like honestly, you're just making it so much worse for everyone else. Like I feel like politically speaking, like those are the types of people to complain about um like the vaccine, like people who complain who don't get vaccinated are the people who are complaining about the lockdowns and like all that. Like they're making it worse for themselves. I don't know. Like
yeah,
it's kind of it I don't know. It's kind of a rough period right now. I don't know.
yeah, for sure. Yeah, also because it's like it's kind of that like I was mentioning, it's kind of like a very weird limbo phase where it's like you can't really gauge what you can and can't do, but it's like there's I feel like there's that kind of level of like I want to say common sense that's like if you're not if you think this is putting someone at risk, then don't do it. Maybe right. Like don't just think
Yeah.
about yourself. Like oh yeah, I've been fine for a year and I haven't gotten vaccinated till now, and I'm still okay. I still think there is that little like okay, maybe you should think about like what you're doing when you're going outside here. Like
I feel
if
I
yeah,
feel
sorry,
like
go ahead.
now, uh, I feel like now in the pandemic, more than ever, that I feel like there's a lot more uncertainty, because I
Mm-hmm.
feel like from the start, like for me at least, like I saw like this disease expert talk about it at the beginning of COVID during like a few months after the 2 week lockdown, right? And he was saying, oh, this is gonna go on for years, right? He was like, oh, if there's no vaccine, then this is gonna be happening for like a really long time. So like from the start, I was kind of like, well, we're gonna be locked down for another year. Like they kept saying like, oh, like things will open up in December 2020. Things will start opening after the winter. But I kind of like I feel like everyone kind of knew that wasn't really gonna happen. But like now with the Delta variant, we don't know. Like it feels so uncertain, you know?
Yeah, yeah, and like I feel like it's like that word was like kind of overused over the last year, but now I actually see the uncertainty too. Like I feel it too
Yeah,
because I remember like back in the beginning, it was like okay, yeah, I don't know how long this is gonna go, but we see like there's a trend like oh the cases are rising, so you stay inside, so you gotta just stay inside till the cases are rising. But now it's like oh the cases are going down, we're so good, let's start opening everything up. oh no, there's a variant coming now, we got to close everything down again. It's like, what's gonna happen? What are we gonna do, right? Like, it's been a year now. What's like what's next, right?
Yeah, honestly, in my opinion, even though like it's been so long, like I don't think that stuff should be opening up now, especially because of Delta variant, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't even know why things are open right now. Like it's literally just gonna turn into a repeat of what's happened like 5 or 6 times, where they just like open stuff up premeditated and or prematurely, and then everything just blows up. Like you can see it happening in America already, where like they opened everything up and now the COVID cases are like
Yep.
skyrocketing. Like I
Yeah.
don't know
Yep. It's
why
happening.
we literally just have to wait just like a little bit. It's not even like a little bit. Like we have to wait like a solid few months where everyone's inside, or else it's not gonna work out.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like I get that the whole tiredness feeling. Like, I'm kind of feeling it too, like that quarantine fatigue. But like, it's just I think there's just it needs to be understood that, like, if we did it well, this could have been the last stretch. But I, yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
You've been awfully quiet, Sarah. I want to hear your thoughts on this. What do you think?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think I like Canada's approach where they're taking it slower. I feel like in the US that they made masks non-mandatory is very crazy. Like
Yeah.
like even if the Canadian government decided that, I don't want to go out without a mask. I'm
yeah,
like
For
double
sure.
vaccinated. I'm not at risk. Like if I think I'll probably be okay. But I don't want to spread it, right? Like I don't you can be a carrier and not know. And it's just safer that way. Like I don't see like I guess I understand it's uncomfortable to wear a mask all the time, or it's uncomfortable like it's sad to not see your friends or not go to the club or whatever. But this is the reality, and we got to do what we got to do to make sure that people live. Like people like I don't understand. I don't understand how people don't understand that all these deaths and illnesses, like all the people who have been ill, it's preventable. You know what I mean? This is
Yeah.
not naturally occurring. Like a pandemic is not a natural phenomenon. Like you're not meant to die like this. It's spread, right? So I think it's kind of sad that people don't get that or they don't care, right? So yeah.
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 So like I
Exactly.
I
haven't as
mean,
for me, what
my
I've been up
my
to.
question is, oh, sorry, keep going.
Oh, yeah. So what I've been up to, I see some people sometimes. I go out sometimes, just in public areas, outside dining, that kind of thing. No, never I have not seen a crowd of people in so long, and I like it like that. Like I have not
Oh,
seen a
not
crowd of
in
people in
Toronto.
ages.
There's crowds of people everywhere.
That's crazy. Yeah. No, I'm not in
Yeah.
Toronto, so like, yeah, no, that's not comfortable at all. I think the last time I saw a crowd of people was when I was in Montreal, and like, there's so many people in Montreal, and I think I went to Quebec City from Montreal, and there's there's so many people there. There's so many tourists and stuff. But like,
Oh
we were
yeah.
safe, right? Like everyone was wearing a mask and stuff, so it was fine. But like, that's when I was like, oh, there's so many people here. But like, it's still nowhere near as much as like crowds would be in Toronto or like in at a club or something. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so the thing that I was thinking, right, is like, as of now, like when are they going to make like the vaccines like mandatory for certain activities, right? It's like they're already
Oh,
making
it's
it
already happening.
mandatory for travel, right? But
Hmm.
like for like polio and like these more serious illnesses, right? Like you can't go to school if you don't have the vaccine for like or measles, smallpox, those ones, right? You can't go to school if you don't have the vaccine. Um, like when are they going to start doing that for COVID? It has to be pretty soon, and I've kind of welcomed that sort of change because, to be honest, like that should have been happening from the second that the vaccine started rolling out.
I think it is happening now. Like, I know in Quebec they were saying they're going to start the vaccination passport, and like
Yeah,
they're saying the number
Mhm.
of like vaccination bookings have doubled since then,
yeah,
since that announcement.
because
So I'm like,
yeah,
okay,
at
I
this
see it
point,
working.
everyone has access to the vaccine, so there's no reason to not do it, right?
Yeah, yeah. Like,
I mean, there is reason, but like it feels like because of how many people are dying, there should be like it should be the compromise.
yeah, yeah. So like that's the thing. So like the thing is, the only problem that I have with like, so not being against the vaccine, like because of the uncertain like health like implications. I get it too. Like, yeah, but we don't know. There hasn't been long term research on it. Like, I understand where they're coming from, but like I don't understand the whole like I don't I don't trust this vaccine, but I'm still gonna go outside because who cares, right? That's the
Yeah,
only thing that I kind of have against that. Like, okay, if you're kind of staying safe on your own and you're keeping everyone else safe and you don't have the vaccine because of uncertainty, okay, sure. Like, I guess I understand your perspective on this. But if you're not like, if you're kind of doing both, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't know. I just,
Yeah, that. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you
Yeah,
mean.
it's just like I feel like it's just like a difficult kind of thing to really understand fully. I'm kind of on the fence with this whole thing, but it's hard. It's yeah, like you're saying, it's uncertain. It's uncertain times.
Yeah, very
Like
uncertain. It's been uncertain for almost 2 years.
yeah,
Yeah,
I feel like just I feel like one of those like big corporations sending out like mass emails like, oh, during these unprecedented uncertain times.
yeah.
The amount of times I've heard unprecedented in this
Yeah. Oh my
pandemic.
god.
Oh my god.
On the plus side though, um, uh, I feel like if COVID or if the pandemic wasn't happening, uh, like so like I had a family or there was like I had a family dinner like a few
Mhm.
days ago. And at the dinner, everyone found out that I was taking a gap year, and everyone completely understood. But I feel like if it wasn't during
Yeah.
COVID, they would have been like,
Yeah.
"Why are you doing that?" They would have been judging me hardcore. But I feel like everyone understands at this point. Like, if you make decisions because of like the state of the world, then
Exactly.
people will be more
Yeah.
understanding, which
Hmm.
You
is
know,
kind of nice.
it is nice. You know, Max, I should have taken advantage of that. I should have taken a gap year last year. I ended
Yeah,
up like not doing any courses. Like I tried but couldn't do it. But I should have just taken the year off. And
yeah.
nobody would have judged me for it. It would have made complete sense. But I thought I could do it and like kind of regret that. But like I'm glad that people have the opportunity to make these choices. You know, like starting new careers or moving or like, you know, things like that that they never really had the courage to do before. Or, you know, like for example, people quitting their jobs. Like that's happening a lot in minimum wage professions, you know, like in retail and like a customer service and food service, right? Like they're quitting their jobs and like, you
Yeah.
know, because it doesn't serve them like it should, right? So
I mean,
I think it's a good
honestly,
thing.
I don't like I know both of you are you're going back to university next year, right, Sarah?
Yes. Yes, I
Yeah,
am.
I know that both of you are going back, but this is I guess probably a controversial view. A lot of the courses are set to be in person in winter term, but to
Hmm.
be honest, I'm like 75% sure that they're probably not going to be because of Delta. So like
Oh my gosh.
I don't want to go back. I really don't think that it's going to be in person because they're talking about doing like the third shot because the effectiveness of the shot runs out, especially when you're talking about new variants, right? I just think that it's going to turn into like last year again.
I
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
that's crazy. I actually have one in-person class in the fall, like in a month.
Oh my god.
Yes.
I made sure I only got like online classes for the fall because I'm like fall is way too early for that. Even though like I miss being in person, like fall is way too
Hmm.
early to kind of do that. But for
So for
winter,
me,
like
I
yeah.
actually, oh, sorry, go ahead. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, no worries, no worries. No, I was just gonna say for winter, like almost all my classes are in person, but like I like now that you kind of mentioned that, like it got me thinking a little bit more, and I'm like, okay, that is kind of scary to be honest.
I mean, I feel like it's kind of hard to think about because it's really hard to think that in the future you're gonna have to deal with like the same stress and anxiety that you had to last year, right?
For sure,
But
yeah,
like
yeah,
to
yeah.
be honest, like it is extremely uncertain. Like if COVID blows up again, which it kind of looks like it already is, then like there's no guarantee that in winter like this will be over. And like I honestly just have a feeling that it's probably going to be online.
Oh my gosh. So for me, I actually took the risk knowing, like, I actually chose this class because it's in person. And I'll tell you why. It makes it sound crazy, right? But considering what's happening, but for me, I realized like this past year that I cannot do university online, period. Like I have ADHD and that doesn't it's not compatible with online learning for me. Like I
I
struggled.
agree.
I
Yeah.
took all these courses, had to drop them all. You know, and I wasted so much money, wasted all my tuition on these courses that, you know, I was sitting at home, couldn't even do it. Like, and I had time, couldn't do it still. It's impossible for me. So if I were to continue school, it has to be in person. So I'm taking the chance that, you know, hopefully if things are great, you know, we're able to manage it. The place that I'm living in is okay. The city that I'm at. So if I did have this online class, at least I'd do well in this one. But if things were to go online, I'd drop. Obviously, have to drop that course. Probably have to drop my other courses too, because that's been what my past experiences have shown me is that
Yeah.
I'm not able to do it online.
I mean, just
So yeah,
honestly, if I were you, I'd just play it out on the financial deadline. You know, just like wait till the last
yeah,
days.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
and
Honestly, it's like if things get worse, I'm probably just gonna take the whole year off, like I should have last year, because there's
yeah,
no point spending this money and then struggling and suffering and getting so unwell and not being able to do anything that you need to do.
yeah. Honestly, like last year for me, I was like, I also have ADHD, right? And I feel like even without ADHD, being our
Exactly.
age, like being like
Hmm.
you're a little bit older, Sarah, but being like in our generation, um, growing up with computers and then going into high school with like iPhones, even then for me at least, I had a smartphone when I was in elementary school. Um,
Jeez.
there's so much stimulation. Like we have so much stimulate. We have computer, we have smartphone, we have all this stuff, right? It's impossible being used to the stimulation and then trying to work at home at your computer, right?
For
Because you're
sure.
not used to like working at home or working on like the in the space where you would usually be relaxing, right? For me, especially with ADHD, that was extremely difficult. Sitting in my room with all the different things that I could be doing and trying to work was like next to impossible.
Yeah, no, I feel that. Like, I'm pretty sure I don't have ADHD, but like, even for me, it was so hard to even focus on like doing work. Like, my assignments took me like sometimes took me like 14, 15 hours, something that I could have done in like 5 hours maybe, just because I
Yeah,
get so distracted like doing them, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'll do it later. It's like it's hard to just like sit down and focus on it. Like I'd get in the zone sometimes and be so proud of myself, like, hey, I got in the zone, I actually got some work done. But I'm like,
yeah,
that's not how it should be. I should always be in the zone when I'm working. Like that's the whole point, right?
yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I mean, honestly, for me, like it's like going into next year, there's like a it feels like because last year, honestly, it wasn't like traumatic, but it was really really bad, right? Like it was
Hmm.
super anxiety inducing. It was really boring,
Seriously.
just sitting inside all the time. I don't want to
Lonely.
like I don't want to tell myself that's not going to happen next year and then have
Yeah.
it happen because
Yes.
it'll be even worse. It will be even
That's
worse.
that would
I,
be horrible. That would be
Yeah,
horrible.
it
yeah,
Exactly.
would be it'd be a lot worse. Cause at least last year I was expecting it more, you know. But this year, going in with the hope of it working out and then it not working out, like I don't want to tell myself that it won't be the same.
yeah. That like that disappointment feeling is not like it won't be the best, right? Like you're just gonna be like, oh yeah, like it's gonna be fine when we by the time we're here, but then afterwards you're gonna be disappointed. You're gonna be like, wow, I was expecting it to be okay, but now it's not okay.
Yeah,
Yeah, no. I completely get that. And to be honest, like I would have taken a gap year too, but then at the same time, I kind of, for me, like personally, the reason why I didn't take the gap year is because like I can't imagine myself like just uh, doing next to nothing during, like I guess I could have worked, but like doing like I feel like school would kind of keep me busy during the year, and then have
yeah,
like the summer kind of.
yeah,
I'd love to have something to keep me
Mhm.
busy. Like even work, I feel like after I'm done
Exactly.
my shift, I'm just gonna have like nothing to do. Like I had so many projects lined up for this. Funny that we're mentioning
Mhm.
projects now. I had so many projects lined up for the summer, but I didn't do most of them because I was like
yeah.
I would never be motivated for it after I finished work. But then at the same time, imagining doing that for the whole year, I'm like, I don't know. I don't know how I
For
feel about that.
me, I'm pretty lucky that I have friends in Toronto where I live
Hmm.
that are also doing a gap year next year. So I'm not going to be like alone in
Oh,
it, and I'm going to have people to talk to
squad.
and hang out with that
Nice.
are going to be like probably on similar schedules. But from like your from like I guess I'm not sure if it's really your perspective, but from someone's perspective who doesn't really have anything to do or anyone to talk to because
Mhm.
they'll also be working, like I can see how taking a gap year would be just as bad.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. And like
Yes.
I just like I feel like just keeping myself busy like during that time is also important because something that tends to happen with me like just when I'm not busy, like I kind of just like start overthinking like random things, and I'm like, oh,
Oh yeah,
now I'm in this whole hole now. That's great. Like I'm just I've been thinking about so much random stuff that like now I'm just stressed out about literally nothing. Like and
I'm so curious as to how like our generation, like the people in school during COVID, are gonna turn out. You know, like because I know so
yeah,
Mhm.
many people who are dropping out permanently because they don't want to go back because of how traumatic their first year was, or people who even are in second, third year who aren't going back. Right? I know people taking gaps, but like probably more people who are taking gas, but I know people who are never going back, right? And then
yeah.
being in high school, like I wonder what it's like being in high school or in middle school or in elementary, where a lot of the learning is like pretty hands on, and I feel like it's an important like stage of development in your life. Like I wonder how that generation is going to turn out.
Yeah, and actually, like in you're mentioning this, like in elementary, I remember like doing these like cool art, like little art things, and like um, making like paper mache and stuff like that we didn't have, like I didn't really have access to at home, and like doing that stuff at school, that was like the funnest part of like my day. But then imagining just doing everything online and kind of relying on a bunch of random websites and Zoom calls and stuff, I'm like,
Yeah.
I
And
don't know
honestly,
how.
they're so young too, right? It's
Yeah, exactly.
like like a month for like a 5 year old or like a 8 year old, right? Is so much more time than for us,
For
right?
sure. Yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
so much of their life is like just like flying by, like at their computer, like they're not like I wonder if there's gonna be I feel like there's gonna be a huge mental health epidemic after
Oh, for
the
sure.
pandemic. Yeah.
Oh,
I feel
Yeah.
like
no,
the
I
next
think it's happening right
generation.
now. I think the
Yeah.
mental health
I
epidemic
mean,
is happening right now.
even our generation, like the Gen Zers, right, are like have their own epidemic of like mental health crisis, right? Where like people are like depressed and anxious at like way, way, way higher rates than they were in the past, right? And we only started with like phones and iPads and social medias like when we were hitting our like early teens, right?
Yeah,
And
Mhm.
now these kids are coming out of the womb straight onto their iPad, like it's kind of
exactly.
crazy, like what's gonna happen.
Yeah, and also like, and I was imagining it at like a super younger scale too, because like usually like we're kind of used to like I guess I mean not everyone, but like some are like, oh, parents are going to, like one of the parents or both parents are going to work from like most part of the day, and then they're going to come back and they're going to be here, and then we'll get to see them. But then it's like for the kids born like nowadays, it's like the parents are always home, so then it's going to be like that kind of confusing, like, oh, going to work, that's a thing, like going to school, that's a thing, right? I thought everything just happens at home, you know.
Yeah, it's like there's no like routine, like I had so many things that I would do every day before the lockdowns,
Yeah.
but now like all of those routines, all of those habits are just like completely gone, like I feel like I get up in the morning, sometimes I just sleep in until like 11 or 12, right?
Yeah.
And then I'll get out of bed, I'll sit at my computer, I'll be like, oh, I forgot to brush my teeth, but that's like an hour later, and then I'll go to the
Yeah.
bathroom, and then at the end of the day it's like, what have I done? It's like I've done nothing, I've done everything behind, right? It's like there's nothing pressuring me to do the things that you know I should be doing.
Literally, yeah, like because
Yeah.
I would be like when when like I guess everything was in person, you can say, but like I would be like, oh yeah, I'm gonna brush my teeth, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna go to school, like walk to the bus at this time so that I get here on time, right, for the bus and for school and stuff. But like I feel like it just all of that kind of is like blurred up with this whole like being online thing, because like I wake up, like you're mentioning, I wake up, forget to brush my teeth, like three hours
And there's
later, like, oh
nothing
wait.
pressuring you to do it. It's like you're not seeing anyone, right? It's like,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And then like also just like sometimes you'd be like, okay, when I'm gonna come back from school, I'm gonna do like XYZ things. But now it's like, oh, when I get off my laptop from my Zoom call, I'm gonna walk outside and I'll
yeah.
be in my living room all of a sudden.
There
Right.
used to be something so much more exciting about like I'd sit at school all day in high school and be so excited to come home and play League or like to play video games, right? Because I can
Hmm.
finally relax, right? I just remember that feeling of being in the zone at school, right? My brain's working really hard, and the entire day I'm just thinking about the fun things that I'll do when I get home, and that just doesn't exist anymore because I'm at home the whole day. I can get on League whenever I want. It's always accessible to me, right?
Yeah.
So I've kind of like lost interest in like gaming in general because like I mean you can take that as a good thing or a bad thing, right? But
Very
uh,
interesting.
like it just feels like a lot of the things that were exciting and fun before the pandemic are not very like the things that I wouldn't have considered
Mm,
fun before are like the idea of going to school and sitting in a classroom sounds kind of
Yeah.
like
yeah.
enjoyable to me, which is like
Exactly.
really strange, right? And like the idea of like exercising or going on a bike or like going on a walk, or for example like I was really excited when the rock climbing gyms opened back up. Like those things would have been just like completely normal, kind of like mundane, right? Less exciting than going on the computer, but now they're just like what I crave.
Yeah. Exactly. Like
Well,
I remember I was
I
talking.
still don't crave exercise, but yes, I can understand. I can.
Yeah, funny story about exercise. I actually like got into, like I finally convinced myself to regularly start going to the gym, and then COVID hit right as soon as that happened. I was like, okay, now I
Uh,
can start like, going to the gym like every second day. Like that's what I started doing. Every like second day, I'd go to like our school gym after class and stuff, and I had like this whole routine set. Then all of a sudden, COVID hit, and I'm like, okay, well, I can't do that anymore. Like, there's no more gyms. There's okay, I guess I'm not going to the gym anymore. So I guess no one wants me. The universe doesn't want me to work out.
For me, it's like I was exercising super hard for like a month after I got attacked by the dog.
Mhm.
So
Oh
like
my
in
god.
June, uh, like after I recovered from that, I was exercising. It was really good for my mental health. And then I injured my shoulder,
Oh
and
damn,
now I can't do anything. And it's just like the fact that I can't do it makes it worse. And it's like,
makes you
yeah,
want to do it more. Yeah,
yeah. Hopefully, I get that sorted out though. I'm getting like an X-ray for it soon.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah,
Hopefully everything's good. Praying for you. Yeah, no, like just that whole, like you're mentioning, the mundane things like seem exciting. I remember I was talking to one of my teachers. I was like, I never thought I'd be saying this, but I miss being in class, right? I was like,
Mhm.
yeah,
I never in a million years would I have said this. Like, if we were in person, I would be like, dang, I have to wake up tomorrow morning and go to school and stuff. But now I'm like, dang, like I could have, like, I missed just taking the bus, getting to school, and just like sitting in a classroom, talking to people, because like that was just like a whole other experience. Now you're like, I'm in a Zoom call, I'm gonna virtually raise my hand, and then the teacher's gonna ask me to unmute myself. Like, what? That
sitting
wasn't a
in
thing.
Zoom calls like online, like watching lectures, so hard.
Oh my
Last
god, yeah,
year,
Mhm. Oh my god, it's
last year
painful.
I skipped most of my lectures and would just try to like learn it on my own.
same. Yeah,
Yeah,
I did.
like
Yeah,
I
like
saw all these memes at the time that were like pay $15,000 to go to school, learn it by yourself. Like that's what it felt like. Like I was just reading like the topics that we are looking at, and then like going on to the worksheets and trying to figure it out.
yeah, yeah. Like I never like I had like a few I guess synchronous classes, like scheduled ones, and I don't think I went like to most, if not any, of like those scheduled times because I was like, I'm not paying attention to this. Like, there's no way I'm going to be able to focus and like follow this whole thing. So like, literally, I just like I would watch either the recording or just like read whatever was assigned and be like, okay, try to understand what's going on. Like, like luckily it worked, but also like, I don't feel like I learned that much, to be honest. I kind of just
Yeah,
learned enough to pass the class and get through it.
it really feels like that. Like I feel like in the moment, like when I was doing the classes, like I felt like I knew what I was doing and talking about. But looking back on all the knowledge that I gained over the year, it feels like so much is missing. It feels like it didn't stick because of
Yeah,
the fact that it was at a computer.
yeah, exactly. Like I feel like someone would ask me a question about something that I learned in class, and I'd be like, I'm not confident to answer this question, even though
Yeah,
like I literally was
no.
talking about, like I literally learned this 3 months ago or 2 months ago or whatever, but I'm not confident
Yeah,
enough to give you an answer because I know like I'm
Mhm.
scared I'm going to be wrong because I don't think I learned it right.
yeah. I don't know if you guys are having this too, but I was talking to other people and they're having similar experience. Like I feel like my memory is a lot worse since the start of
Yeah,
COVID
yeah, for
because
sure.
my entire life is like in the same room. Like before I was going places, I was remembering that stuff. I was like because it was a new environment, right? You'll remember, but like when everything is happening in the same room, it feels like you're not like retaining any of it. Like it feels like 2020, 2021, they felt like forever, right? But
Hmm.
like when I think back on it, like what honestly happened.
Yeah, yeah, literally.
Yeah,
Like I don't. It's also like, so it's like kind of weird. It's like, where did the time go? But also like, how slow was that time, right?
yeah,
It's kind of that weird mix. Like I think about it, like, oh, holy shit, like we're August 2021. We've gone through 8 months of 2021, but at the same time, it's like, what even
when did
happened?
2021 start?
Yeah, when did it start? Like, I feel like forever
Yeah.
ago, right? I don't know. It's kind of weird. It's a weird time. um, well, I guess this is a good point to kind of wrap it up. Any closing remarks from anyone?
No,
Um,
not for me.
Yeah.
yeah,
All
no,
right.
I wish everybody luck for the new academic year.
Yeah. Good luck with everything.
Yeah, take it easy. Self-care is important.
For
Yeah,
sure. Yeah. Yeah.
mental health is more important than school.
For sure.
Yes, 100%.
Definitely. That's something
Because
that
school you can catch up on. If you get into a bad state, there might
Oh
not be
my
coming back
god.
from that.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. And I think that's something that needs to kind of be like highlighted with a lot of, especially first years, because like they have that like high school
Mhm.
mentality of like, oh, getting good grades and like shining so you can like get through good schools and stuff. But, like, once even then you should be like mental health first, but like at that point it's kind of hard to understand. But like in university especially, I feel like it's very important to understand that you have to put yourself first, after like school's
Mhm.
after, right?
Yeah,
Maybe we'll do like a wellness special next week. We'll see.
yeah.
Yeah, that'll be a good
Yeah, I think
idea.
that'd be good.
Yeah, we'll see. Well, I guess stay tuned for that. And with that, I guess this is a wrap. Thank you for listening, live listeners, and those listening
Thank
on
you.
the recorded stuff. Thank you for
Thank
that.
you, Sarah, for filling in for Veronica.
Yes,
Of
yes.
course, of
You did
course.
you did a much
I
better
love to
job.
cosplay as Veronica. Oh my gosh, the shade. Oh my
The
god.
beef
Yes.
will the beef will start. The beef will start between you and Veronica.
Yeah.
No,
The
you
beef
can't. You
is
can't break
hot.
us apart. We're like blood brothers.
Yeah, blood brothers. Yeah, Veronica would. She'd say it differently. I know she'd say blood brothers exactly.
You'd say turtle friends or
It's
something.
turtle. No, she'd say hepatitis brothers. That's her word.
No, now you're telling our viewers that me and Veronica have hepatitis. We do not. It just means that we're blood related.
Yeah, this is just something that Veronica has said in the past for no reason, very unprompted. I
It's a
still have no
Veronica
idea till this
conspiracy.
date why she said that, but yeah, she did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, with that, we'll wrap it up. Thank you, and don't forget to do
Like,
all that.
subscribe,
Yeah, all that YouTuber stuff. Like, subscribe, comment,
comment.
and also like feel
Yeah.
free to leave like if you're taking a gap year and stuff. Like, we'd love to hear from you and like what your thoughts are on that
Yeah,
and
of
stuff.
course.
We'd
Yeah.
love to
And
listen
like
from you
what
guys
you
too.
got up to.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. All right. Thank you.